Okay, so some of my buddies told me that there's a video of someone trying to debunk some heisei Godzilla scaling. Well, I'm about to react to that video and see if they make any valid points, because I've seen quite a few videos on this, and they tend to go about the same way that people trying to debunk, like, MonsterVerse Godzilla scaling goes. Very poorly. Like, when people try to say MonsterVerse Godzilla is, like, trash because he got briefly knocked down by a building in 2014, despite him having far superior feats later on. People tend to do the same thing with heisei Godzilla, but, like, even worse, because it's the same people who will defend the MonsterVerse anti-feats and then, like, go ham on the heisei anti-feats, which is just kind of stupid to me. Anyways, as a guy who likes to actually give every Godzilla fair scaling, I'm gonna be taking a look at this video and seeing if this person's actually being fair with what they're saying, or if they're just being an asshole to the heisei era for no apparent reason other than to just cope that he's stronger than, like, MonsterVerse and the Millennium era Godzillas. Okay, heisei Godzilla lifting the island doesn't really matter, as that's not even his best feat of strength. Also, Toho Kingdom, that's your source. You're using Toho Kingdom as you. Okay, that's kind of wild. Anyways, heisei Godzilla broke a tectonic plate in half when he was fighting Batra. That's canon, that happened. You can cry and whine about it all you want. Some people like to argue that it was on a fault, which has been, like, kind of semi-canonized and some stuff. But even if it was on a fault, that's a better physical feat than anything we've seen in the MonsterVerse, Millennium era, or even Showa era, if we don't count the higher dimensional stuff, which the Heisei era also has. So, yeah, Heisei Godzilla is definitely strong enough to lift an island if he wanted to. Even Godzilla Earth is capable of doing that with mountains. So, yeah. To make it even funnier, even MonsterVerse Godzilla could likely lift a mountain, as he can shake tectonic plates and physically massively outmatch characters who can also shake tectonic plates, that being Muto Prime. So, there's a few Godzillas who should be able to technically lift an island. What? I'm sorry, why didn't he throw Mechagodzilla into space? Well, it might have something to do with Mechagodzilla having the ability to fly. It could also have to do with the fact he's trying to kill Mechagodzilla, not throw him out of bounds. That's not how a fight works. Also, Mechagodzilla is physically as strong as Godzilla, so if he didn't want to get thrown into space, he wasn't going to get thrown into space. That, as an argument, is fucking hilarious. Okay, arguing he can move another monster with his finger if he was that strong is kind of stupid. Here's why. I'm assuming most people know what Dragon Ball is, or at least something like DC. Can Superman flick Doomsday around like he's nothing with one finger? No, because they're physically comparable. Despite Doomsday weighing nowhere near as much as the planets, Superman can ragdoll. What about Goku? Can Goku just flick Vegeta into space? No, because him and Vegeta are comparable, even though Goku can physically shake infinite realms. That chain of logic is obscenely stupid. This is fiction. This isn't real life. Trying to apply real life logic to characters who are way supernaturally more powerful than they should be is just flawed logic. Buddy, you didn't debunk anything. You pulled out one of the dumbest arguments I've heard in my entire life in some weird attempts to argue one of the less impressive physical feats of the Heisei era just doesn't count, even though there's more impressive stuff that you just forgot to mention for some reason. I'm sorry, planetary? Are you aware how powerful his atomic breath is as of the first movie? You mean that's just dumb? That's not an argument. That's what? Oh my god, bro. Okay, well, here's a major problem with this. This guy's trying to argue destructive capacity equals AP. I've already explained a trillion times in other videos why that's just completely stupid. That's like saying because Goku doesn't blow up a planet with a single Kamehameha 100% blue, then he just couldn't blow up a planet. Even though we see Base Frieza do that with one finger. That's the logic this guy's going off of here. He's going off of the destructive capacity equals the attack's full power. Now, ignoring that most Godzilla's atomic breaths just straight up destroy stuff on the subatomic level, which ups the destructive capacity calculations majorly past building level if it was just a building. Heisei Godzilla is confirmed stronger than Showa Godzilla as of the first film. Now, I'm usually a little shaky on that, but that is an official statement in an official guide. Now, seeing as this guy just blatantly doesn't seem to understand scaling, I'm assuming he doesn't understand how powerful the Showa era is. Well, let me enlighten you, buddy. Right in the middle of the Showa era, during the little Zone Fighter show, the character Zone Fighter nukes a four-dimensional realm. It's confirmed four-dimensional like a trillion goddamn times. He then fights a kaiju who's 100 times stronger than the kaiju that made that 4D realm, and still beats that kaiju's ass. Showa Godzilla is stronger than him. By the end of Zone Fighter, he gets even stronger by the end of the Showa era. So, that's pretty high into the universal, if you know how scaling works. That's Uni Plus, times like a lot. Heisei Godzilla is confirmed in an official guide to be 200 times stronger than that. Now, you could say that's inconsistent. You could say that doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, Toho said that themselves, and they never went back on it. So, if you want to take it up with Toho, be my goddamn guest. But right now, it's 100% canon. I'm sorry to break it to you. And if you think it's super inconsistent, just a reminder, the stuff that gets the Showa era 4D, even before Zone Fighter, that being Super Gravity, appears pretty frequently in the Heisei era, more so than it did in the Showa era. So, keep that in mind, too. Okay, well, once you start using the word fodder for the guy you're supposed to be debunking, you're showing your bias pretty goddamn hard. I hate to break it to you. Never once in the entire time I've talked about why the Monsterverse gets absolutely smoked by the Heisei era have I ever called Monsterverse Godzilla or the Monsterverse fodder. Because they aren't. They're pretty freaking strong. Compared to the Heisei era, no, they're not that strong, but they're not fodder characters. They're still powerful. Once you start calling the other character fodder, if it isn't like an absurd strength gap, which to be fair, the Monsterverse Heisei is an absurd gap in power, but it's not like Monsterverse Godzilla couldn't at least physically move Heisei Godzilla. It's more so one being from Heisei and Monsterverse is literally atomized. At least as of now, the Monsterverse still has a lot of potential. Like the Heisei era, if you don't count the Showa stuff, wouldn't have gotten anywhere near the universal and multiversal stuff until SpaceGodzilla came around and had pretty blatant multiversal and universal scaling both in the movies and the manga adaptations. However, once you start calling a character fodder, you're showing your bias, you're showing you don't want them to have good scaling, and you're destroying your own already very bad argument. So, yeah, you just showed your bias, like, horribly bad there. Oh boy. Hey buddy, toys are kinda canon. That's where we get the Mechagodzilla scaling from the Monsterverse I'm 95% sure your dumbass uses. Statement heavily implies it's going to destroy the planet, not the life. There is multiple interpretations of it. There's also multiple versions of the statement. You clearly don't know how to research. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh my god. Okay, well, if we're going to assume that just debunks it right away without you pulling any of the guide statements or anything like that out, or looking at some of the official Toho statements outside of the film that also indicate that, yeah, that meteor was going to kind of destroy the planet, like, absolutely annihilate it completely. Also, it's pretty blatantly stated in the film that they're going to destroy the meteor. Like, gone. Instantly. And another major problem with this guy's chain of thought is even if the meteor was only multi-continental, which it isn't, Batra was going to destroy it with his beam. A casual shot from his beam. They never said it was going to take, like, all of his power to do it. Like, no, they were like, he's just going to blow it up. Mothra would also be capable of doing the same. Heisei Godzilla took no effect from it, but he's somehow still building level. Because you somehow don't think Batra being able to destroy the meteor, or Mothra being able to destroy the meteor, a major plot point of the film, by the way. You just assume that that's not a plot point of the film, and they couldn't do it somehow, even though they kind of are blatantly stated to be able to do it repeatedly. So you just literally debunked your prior debunk with that debunk that wasn't even a debunk, and then now you're just trying to act like you still know what you're talking about. That's wild. I'm not gonna lie. That's just wild. I'm sorry, did you say a scan from a toy is fan-made? You know what a toy is, right? Like, you're aware of that? You know what a toy, like, you know what a toy is. It's a fucking toy. It's an official product, usually approved by Toho before they sell it, obviously. Now, they might overhype some stuff sometimes. The Monsterverse is guilty of this too. As I already explained, the Mechagodzilla weight and, like, the original evolved Godzilla multiplier, which became canon, by the way, are both from toys. Now, you could argue, like an idiot, that the toy scans aren't consistent, even though they are. However, once you say that the toy scan is fan-made, despite it being an official product, that is just hilariously stupid to hear. Like, did you see your video before you put it out? Like, did you use your head before you said that? Like, yeah, it's not from the movie, so it's fan-made. That's like, that's like saying IDW Godzilla's fan-made, even though it's an official thing. Like, get out of here, dude. Yes, the Mega Buster that can hurt a guy whose cells casually take a black hole. Can't be planetary. Bit of a problem there, buddy. You see a black hole, when it sucks you into it and sends you to a white hole, you're still inside a black hole. SpaceGodzilla was also born in that thing. He didn't just come out and stay out. He was born in there. He lived in that thing. They say that repeatedly. He didn't just take one supernova either. They say millions, literal millions of supernovas. This man was eating stars like a fucking fat man eats a Big Mac. And he was doing that for, like, a extended period of time. Now, you can argue that that's inconsistent. Like, it was a portal. He went to a white hole. A white hole's still pretty goddamn dangerous. I hate to break it to you. It's the opposite of a black hole. That's still pretty damn good durability if you're in it. Also, the cell not taking the full force of the supernova. It absorbed the supernova. It didn't just take it. It absorbed it. That means he ate that energy. He didn't just get hit with it. Dude took it. All of it. SpaceGodzilla is also stated to have infinite fucking energy. That is infinite energy. I hate to break it to you, infinite energy is a lot more than one little supernova. Now, you can argue all you want about that, maybe just talking about his stamina. Well, okay. He still lit up the universe in the manga, which is directly considered comparable to the normal movies, but whatever. We'll forget about that entirely, because, you know, it's a manga, it's a different thing, but we'll still talk about the Monsterverse comics being completely consistent. You know, Godzilla taking a meteor to get pimp slapped by metal. Sounds like something you Monsterverse guys would like to say about the Heisei era, like, maybe SpaceGodzilla gets hurt by metal or something. Are you going to bring that up later? I guarantee you are, like a fucking idiot. Let's keep going. Let's see what else you have to say, buddy, because right now you're looking pretty goddamn stupid. What do you know? I called it. Anyways, Mogira's made of earthly metal. Mogira's made from future technology designed to kill Godzilla, put on an alien god who was born from a supernova in the original series, and is directly stated repeatedly to be more powerful than the original Ghidorah. That means that this earthly metal is strong enough to be comparable to Godzilla and Heisei Ghidorah. So it must be real earthly, huh? This earthly metal that can travel at massively faster than light speeds, take hits from the atomic breath, which is so hot, its official temperatures are all insane, way hotter than the stuff that would melt any real-life metal, like instantly, like that. But yes, this earthly metal, totally, it just completely messed SpaceGodzilla up. He was just, like, dying after that. He didn't throw Mogira with his tail like he was a little bitch at all. That didn't happen. No, that drill just messed him up like he was GMK, Godzilla. No, buddy, this earthly metal you keep saying is just completely trash garbage. I'm sorry, what smacked Monster vs. Godzilla in the face really hard after he took a meteor already? And he took literal gravity beams that destroy stuff subatomically. Oh yeah, a human-made Mechagodzilla that isn't even from the future smacked Godzilla around like he was nothing in the Monsterverse. Yeah, it was a weakened Godzilla. Shut up, Monsterverse fans. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's not uncommon for monsters in the Monsterverse and even in other series, characters from other stuff, getting hurt by earthly metals. Because those earthly metals, just like the humans and other stuff in the verse, get massively amped because they don't follow normal logic. But nice argument there, buddy. It was completely stupid and kind of hilarious when you really look at it, but yeah, sure. Earthly metals can somehow just magically kill Heisei Godzilla, but yet the nuclear bombs don't work on him, and the missiles don't work on him, and the maser cannons don't work on him, and the absolute zero lasers don't work on him, and the countless kaiju that are as strong as him don't work on him. And even the micro-oxygen that, like, you know, destroys fucking oxygen barely works on him. But yeah, basic-ass, bitch-ass steel. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's Solo's Godzilla, totally. Oh, here we fucking go. No, they don't. I mean, the pilots do, but the pilots aren't normal people. Yeah, he did. It's stated repeatedly, but sure, bud. Anyway. Yeah, the crystals weren't moving at light speed because they're not in a vacuum. First of all, no solid matter moves at light speed even in a vacuum, unless you're going to argue muons and tachyons exist, which has never been scientifically proven. Also, those crystals are like literal trillions of times bigger than a tachyon or muon would be, but okay. Now, you're going to use this vacuum argument like it means anything to a guy who controls gravity. That means he can completely just not care about the atmospheric effects. This dude controls the basic building blocks of the universe, and you're acting like a fucking atmosphere is going to do anything to him. Do atmospheres do anything to Goku? No. Okay, well, they should by your dumbass logic, but they don't. Do they do anything to Superman? No. But SpaceGodzilla? Oh, it must have done something to him. Probably. You were going to argue, oh yeah, the crystals, they look like they're going slow in the film. As I've explained in like a trillion videos prior, it's kind of stupid to send a sharp prop flying at a guy inside a rubber suit. That's called a crime. That's called assault if it hits him. That's probably potentially attempted murder. So if you want to use that stupid fucking logic, feel free to, but it's kind of dumb when nowhere in the entire film did they ever state the atmosphere did anything to the crystals. Even in space, they look like they're going at their normal speed that they are on Earth, even though we know that he came from the other side of the goddamn universe, which would be massively faster in light as a low ball, if you don't even count the higher dimensional cosmology, which would boost it up to infinite speed, because guess what? The universe would be infinite by then. But yes, let's just say that the atmosphere did it because you headcanoned it, and it's canon now because you trust me, bro. Yeah, sure, buddy. I love how half of what he just showed was just straight Japanese. Like, anybody that's not Japanese is going to read that and know what it says. No, it's not a figure of speech. In the manga adaptation, which is basically confirmed to be comparable to the films, I know it must be shocking to some people to hear that the manga adaptations made the same time the films were made are meant to be comparable to the films in some way, shape, or form. So this Godzilla lights up an infinite universe. He lights it up. That's infinite energy. Okay? It can't be any more simple than that. You argue it's a figure of speech. How? You argue that's a figure of speech, but stuff like Godzilla and the Monsterverse having as much energy as the Hollow Earth, or more, you're going to argue that's not a figure of speech. But this is? When they're like the same goddamn statement, just on different levels? Okay, sure, buddy. I'm sure you're gonna. I'm sure that makes sense in your weird head. Keep doing it, buddy. No, they said he has infinite energy. Toho doesn't mess around when it comes to what they say, usually. Like, they tend to be pretty dead serious when they're talking about stuff like this. Like, super gravity in particular, they've pretty much said, like, straight up, that's higher dimensional. Like, it is. They say it is. They know it is. They're not messing around with that. Like, I know some of the stuff might seem goofy and, like, dumb in your weird head where you think fiction has to be identical to reality. But it doesn't. It's a series about a giant radioactive dinosaur fighting a bunch of gods, mutants, and fucking big-ass plants. And you're like, huh, it's not realistic, it can't be real scaling. I'm sorry, what about fucking Barney mixed with a nuclear reactor was anywhere near realistic to begin with? It never was, it never will be. The closest thing to realistic stuff like Shin Godzilla and -1, and even then, if you saw that, you would be like, that kind of looks fake if you saw it in real life. So, keep using your dumb logic and your headcanons and saying they're proof when they're not. You're just ignoring scaling for HeiSeiGodzilla. Actively showing your bias by saying Heisei fanboys are the ones saying this. Because I guess anyone who uses official statements is a fanboy nowadays, because the Godzilla community can't handle, solid facts or like opinions where their favorite Godzilla isn't number one. I've been accused of being a Heisei tard so many fucking times at this point. They're like, it's your favorite Godzilla, isn't it? I was like, no. This might be a little hard for a lot of people to believe, but I'm an IDW Godzilla fan, like, majorly. And even I can admit Heisei smacks the shit out of him like he's nothing. Also, the first Godzilla I ever watched, Monster vs. Godzilla. The second Godzilla I ever watched, Godzilla 1998. Third Godzilla I ever watched, Godzilla 2000. All three, loved them. Loved those Godzillas. Heisei eats them alive like a fucking cheeseburger. That's just how it works. Sorry. Scaling exists. You just are too whiny to admit it, I guess. Godzilla's red spiral ray was literally an amp from the energy from the crystal. That means he stole that energy. No, when people say he's star level or like multiversal because he took that energy, it's not star level, by the way, it's multiversal. As I already explained, show us scaling exists. You ignore that this entire video. The beam is made because he blew up the shoulder crystal and absorbed it after he had already been draining energy by biting him. If you watch the film, when they bite each other, they're taking each other's energy. You see the little lightning effects? Or are you just too busy not paying attention to the film so you can, like, whine online about how it doesn't make any sense when you didn't pay any fucking attention to it? No, the beam is quote-unquote star level, by your weird scaling logic, because it's literally SpaceGodzilla's energy. It's not because it blew SpaceGodzilla up. It's because it is SpaceGodzilla's energy. And HeiSeiGodzilla keeps his amps, unlike Monster vs. Thermo or Final Wars' Heavenly/Kizar mode. Heisei keeps his amps. That's why burning exists. And if you want to debate that, then why does burning exist? You think the island explosion was more powerful than SpaceGodzilla? If you believe that, you're insane. That's why burning exists. That's why stuff like Super exists in the games. That's because he keeps the amps. He's like one of the few Godzillas that does that. That's also why he's so fucking powerful. So yeah, the beam is quote-unquote star level, realistically multiversal, but sure, keep being weird with your dumb logic. It's not because he blew a dude up. It's because he practically ate the dude's soul and shot it at his face. That's the best way to explain it. So maybe actually pay attention to the film or like do a little more research before you argue that people just say that because they blew SpaceGodzilla up, when that's not even the logic behind that scaling to begin with. Somebody didn't do any fucking research. No, he was going to melt into the Earth's core. I know they say that at one point in the film, sorta, maybe a little bit. But they also say he's going to cause a Big Bang. They say that pretty blatantly in the film, if you pay attention. Now, some more cut-down versions of films take that statement out. Some newer versions do. But in the original film, they blatantly say that the Meltdown is going to cause a second, bigger Big Bang. That is universal destruction, buddy. Now, I know you somehow failed to see that statement anywhere, and you just went off the little thing they showed. But yes, I'm sure Burning Godzilla can't be planetary, despite SpaceGodzilla, being in a black hole. Batra very clearly having at least bare minimum multi-continental power. And you know, Showa cross-scaling, you've still failed to neglect. I mean, failed to show in any way. Like, literally never mentioned it this whole video. The biggest part of Heisei's scaling is the fact that he upscales Showa. That's why he's so strong, because Showa's already one of the strongest Godzillas ever, and Heisei's considered stronger than him right off the bat. The dude had a head start beyond a head start on every other Godzilla. That's why he's so powerful, because Toho wanted him to be. He's practically the Godzilla in hell of the live-action Godzillas. And you're just ignoring the biggest part of his whole scaling. And then downplaying burning so bad, it's kind of funny. Like, did you also forget that they state Junior is as strong as SpaceGodzilla? Or, like, actually, no, Amped Godzilla after he beats SpaceGodzilla? And I mean, like, Junior before he gets amped by burning Godzilla, too. Like, little shit Junior that's fighting the crappy little destroyer. Yeah, that Junior. And then that destroyer gets 500 times stronger, and he was already comparable to that little shit. So, I mean, by statements, destroyer should be like 500 times Godzilla's prior base. Which, as I already explained, even with your low ball ass scaling, is at bare minimum star level. But yeah, burning's not even planetary. It would take a chain reaction, even though he splits tectonic plates, which is already like multi-continental at the highest end. But yes, his strongest form with literal infinite multipliers, it just can't be planetary. It just can't happen. It's chain reaction, the universal destruction statement, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna ignore everything because I'm biased as hell. That's this video. That's your channel. That's who you are, I guess. I love how he puts LMAO in the fucking text of his video. Like, bruh. This isn't a fucking YouTube comment section. This is a video. Like, seriously? What? Infinite energy does not mean you're omnipotent. What the hell? No. Are you stupid? Seriously? Like, what? No, you're not omnipotent. Is Goku omnipotent? Is Superman omnipotent? No. That's not what omnipotent means. Just because you're infinitely powerful doesn't mean you see everything, know everything. You're not God because you have infinite energy. That's stupid. You don't even know what you're talking about, dude. Infinite energy means you could blow up a universe, okay? That's the most blunt way of putting it in the Godzilla fandom. It means you could blow up a universe. That's what energy means, okay? Everyone got that? Everyone understand that? Omnipotence means you know everything, you see everything, and you just are basically like a biblically accurate God. They are not the same. They've never been the same. I don't know where the fuck you got that, buddy. But no, that's not what omnipotent means. You're insane. That's the worst. That might be your worst argument in this video, and that is like really saying something. Because this one, like the other ones, at least you could like argue that you just didn't know about stuff, or you like are just biased. That was just blatantly false. That's just blatantly wrong. That's just like blatantly stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The fact you're talking about people saying Heisei's multiversal and that's just dumb, or like he took 1,000 times the beam, that's just dumb. It's not realistic. You just thought since having infinite energy makes you God. That's the dumbest thing in this video. That's dumber than any Heisei scale. That's for damn sure. So I guess you're a hypocrite now too, on top of everything else. I love how he says learn your figures of speech and then just said omnipotence equals infinite energy. Like, bro, you don't even practice what you preach. This video, okay, I didn't expect me to cuss as much as I did in this. Like, I'm gonna have to put like cuss warning stuff on here. But holy shit. This guy's might be worse in V Destroys Heisei edits. Like, he might be the worst Heisei Lobo I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, SpaceGodzilla isn't even star level? Like, are you serious? Burning Godzilla isn't planetary? What? I feel like he's pretty blatantly planetary. It's the whole plot of the fucking movie. I mean, what's next? Destroyer gets fucking one-shotted by Monster vs. King Ghidorah. Are you going to argue that one, too? Are you going to argue Showa Godzilla beats Heisei? And still, where the fuck was the Showa cross-scaling? Did you just forget that? Like, did you just not know that that existed? a huge part of the whole scaling. Where's the supergravity stuff? Did you not just not neglect to mention that? Do you know what dimensions are? You never mentioned dimensionality at all. That's like if you don't mention dimensionality, yeah, everything sounds stupid because you're not incorporating the biggest part of the scaling in Godzilla, the dimensions. Literally, how the scaling even gets to Universal is off higher dimensional feats, which are very, very, very common in the Heisei and Showa era. That is why they have scaled most of the other eras, because unlike the Monsterverse, there is higher dimensional stuff. If there wasn't higher dimensional stuff, the Heisei era would be weaker than the Monsterverse, because there is no higher dimensional scaling for it. But there is. So fucking research it before you start lowballing everything, because you don't understand physics, or you don't understand power scaling, or both. And again, I really want you to see this video and use your head and realize, hey, infinite energy doesn't equal omnipotence, because they literally they're not even the same goddamn thing. They're not the same. You can be omnipotent, not even have infinite energy. You can have infinite energy and not be omnipotent. They're not the same fucking thing. They've never been the same thing. They never will be. And then the island lifting feat that you started off with. Why would you start out with one of the worst physical feats in this fucking whole era when there's better ones that you could argue for the same reasons that other kaiju have similar ones to? Kaiju, I guarantee you don't downplay like you just downplayed Heisei. And again, you didn't mention the mangas, you didn't mention the fucking guidebooks, you just threw a bunch of, you said toys are not canon despite them being official products of Toho. Like, dude. What the fuck was this? Like, what were you attempting here? Were you just angry? Were you just angry and you had to cry? And make this stupid argument that has so many holes in it, it's like a fucking Swiss cheese slice? Like, what the fuck? This horrible video, like, seriously. I am not surprised that it has more dislikes than likes. Not at all. Because that's horrendous. This is horrible. The fact that Godzilla fandom acts like this towards each other, like they had to literally fucking downplay Godzilla's scaling because they don't like that in particular Godzilla is that strong. They have to whine about it like a bunch of little fucking schoolgirls. Like, come on. You people get all whiny when Godzilla loses a fight in a crossover or something, but you don't want him to be strong because that's not your Godzilla. That's an old Godzilla. An old Godzilla bad. That's your logic. It's stupid. What the fuck? I don't downplay Monsterverse. I actually scale him a lot higher than someone like Goji Chronic does. Goji Chronic has him at like Dwarf Star. I have him at like damn near Solar System. You're over here having Heisei at like not even planetary, but SpaceGodzilla is somehow like Dwarf Star at least, by your logic. Like, come on. Seriously? Are you stupid? Like, come on. I'm not even trying to be a dick. I'm just like, bro, your argument's horrible. It's the worst thing I've seen on the internet today. And I see some pretty stupid stuff. I am in the Godzilla fandom, you know? Like, there's some pretty dumb shit that I see regularly. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what you were even trying to debunk with this, but you failed. Congratulations. Also, the comments in this video are kind of priceless. You know, these Monsterverse kids with, like, they have such eloquent speech, such as capital W and, fucking, fire emoji and skull emoji to people saying, hey, Godzilla, I heard them say they're multiversal. Skull emoji, woo! Like, they talk like a bunch of fucking skibbity toilet kids. You got the Heisei fans actually saying, like, actual stuff, and this guy's replying with, like, the most horrendous bullshit I've seen in my life. He's like, cope, and, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, research, bro. Like, fucking use your head. Use your fucking internet access. Like, research before you start talking shit. Like, for fuck's sake, dude. Like, this is a disgrace to the Godzilla fandom. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm not even trying to be funny. It just is. This is a dumb video made by a person who doesn't know how to research. Clearly has some weird hate towards the Heisei era for some unknown reason. Like, grow the fuck up, man. Like, come on. And I know some people in the comments will be like, you telling him to grow up? You're making a video about this. I'm making a video about this because it's dumb that people think this. I'm a power scaler. Like, I don't make money off of it yet, but that's what I do. I do power scaling. I'm not going to grow up because that's what I do. I'm not trying to be all grown up acting. This guy's acting like he's debunking stuff, and he's talking like a literal infant. He's using like random shit that he found like 3 things on. He probably had a conversation with like one guy, thought he knew everything. It then literally gets murdered in his own comments for having the stupidest takes I've ever seen in my fucking life. And proceeds to cry like a fucking little girl about it. Like, come on. This is disgraceful.